Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Mornings with Marvel, where authenticity lives and thrives to create a space of growth, healing, and joy. I am your host, Andrea Lawful Sanders, and each day we will cover the topics that are informative and engaging while learning from each other. It is Monday, June 2nd, 2025. Half the year has come. It felt like we just woke up in January and now we're in June and there's so much going on. I am going to cover some of the things, and I see you all here sending your messages. I am going to cover some news for all of you. Let me just make sure that I'm doing this properly. And then we should have our favorite person on. um, David and David Alexander Jenkins. Look at that. It shows up that I'm live on YouTube in my email. So let me. Whew, what a weekend! What a weekend! Where would you like me to start, darlings? Because there's so much that happened this weekend. I don't even know where to start. Yes, it's still a hat week. My hair is still messed up, and so I'm trying to navigate it all. I tried this morning, and I was like, no, this is still not working. So we'll figure out what hats we're wearing this week as we move along. I want to start the show by thanking Kelly Wyatt for putting some merchandise together for me, and I see that you're all, responding to it. She is now pulling. Let me just make sure, David. She is now doing it in bulk for me. We thought that it was going to. What the hell? I thought that maybe 5 or 10 people would want to buy to start out, and Sarita rolls her eyes with me every single time because I always assume in the negative, like not everybody's going to want something. So my team uh pull together the proper logo, brand, the proper colors, because honey, they're about the branding and they're not playing with me, you, or anybody else. And so Kelly is now going to work through all of that to make sure that we have what we need. So let me go there first of all. Good morning, Debbie Womack. How are you? Let me come up here and we'll talk about what the heck is going on in the country. All right. Hold on, David. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. My chat is hopping here. I love you all so much. You all are too funny. You love the hat. Listen, I see you wearing the merch. Yes, I am, Laura. Good morning. Good morning. So the merch will be worn on Mondays and Wednesdays when I'm on my way to the gym, right? Makes sense. Because I'm not wearing anything for everybody else to brand everybody else. My water now sits in this cup, right? See? She did a really good job. And so I'm really excited about what we're getting ready to do. I have been slowly spooning, this stuff because Lord have mercy, it's a lot. Good morning, Bobby, Laura, Shaquilla, Tammy, Marguerite, Melissa. Yes, I'm wearing the merch. So the merch will come. Good morning, Tiffany, Beatrice. Thank you, darlings. My cat in the hat. It's like empty up here, but really cool. Good morning, Jasenia. Ha! Laura says, come on now. We all want some Marvel stuff. Face, red heart. I love it. I absolutely love it. I love you all so much. And my sound is now set up on my iPads. So listen, little by little we're getting there, and I'm really happy. So yes, the merch will be ready this upcoming weekend. Working with my Kelly will be working with my team, and so this is great. Listen, Jasenia, we're gonna work it out. We're gonna work it out. We're gonna work it out. And then the cup, which is black, when it gets hot, see that? It changes colors. I was like, look at Kelly in these Wakanda streets. Let me let David in because, good morning, Monica. Good morning, good morning, good morning to all of you. Let me let David in so we can have ourselves a good, well, darling.
Hello. Yes.
How are you, my sweetie pie?
Well, there's never been a time in my life when he let me fall.
It's so crazy.
I
David.
cannot figure out how to make these things. Look at this. Look at
Okay,
this.
so all right, so hold on. Nope, this is what I'm going to tell you because I have two of those, and they only work with my computer, right? So I'm listen. I'm going to send you the link to another one that looks very similar to it that plugs into your phone.
Oh, hot dog. Because this baby, and
I
as
know.
beautiful as she is, does
I
not.
know. She was just way too complicated. I did this, and they were $79, $80. I know, David. I know. So we're gonna work it out. You know, you and I will always figure out a way to work out the technology.
When he did not answer my call, he will
What
heal you
call?
when you fall, help you when you fall. If you just have faith, Andre, what will you be there? There is no failure. No, no, no. You don't know that song?
No.
Oh, that is an old gospel. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You are so crazy. Good morning, Debbie
Good
Womack. So
morning,
listen, we
baby.
have a lot to discuss.
Mhm.
Who wants the cup for the morning merch? Okay, we'll make sure. Just hold on. We're gonna say, "Child, Marvel has merch," and so and so we are moving along, and the folks are ordering, and it's insane. So I'm grateful to everybody here. You know that. And then season 3 of the podcast. Ooh. Now listen, I need to still talk to you and Andrea Robin Manley. I need to interview the both of you. So you'll be season 4, and somebody else from All That Math, Akil Parker. I started recording my podcast episodes way before the season. So it starts with me tomorrow. You will hear my voice tomorrow as the opening segment of the season 3. Someone said that shit way. Tommy said that shit way. Throw away the microphone. And then next Tuesday on the 10th, you all are going to. Oh, Shakuda says she wants it all. I love you all. Next Tuesday on the 10th, you're going to hear the first episode. And I'm telling you, it's a doozy. All of them are a doozy. We're so intentional about what we put out. So there's that. Yesterday was Freeway Day. So we played the episode with Freeway, which was the closing season 2, which is still good. Monica said, yes, all gospel. God, good morning, David. Hold on, Tiffany. Tiffany says, how are they ordering? Can you wait, please? Just hold on. Hold on. This just all happened on Saturday. And so we're trying to put everything together so you can order your merchandise. All right. So let's discuss. I want to start with the Roots picnic.
The washout.
David. All right. So let me preface this by saying I've gone to the Roots picnic because I'm always going to tell you how it happens, right? I've gone to the Roots picnic 3 times as press. Each time that I've gone, I was so concerned about not having a chair. People, 45,000 people, and literally they boast that it's over 40,000 people show up, and that it's so hot. And every year that I've gone, people were fainting. Emergency services would come, right? There were never enough potties, that kind of thing. So last year, when I went as press in the VIP line, we had to wait for almost 2 hours. Happy sunshine. It was hot as hell out there, 90-something degrees. When I saw that it was going to rain, now we all watched the weather report, right, David? Right? It's been raining like Noah came with the ark in Pennsylvania.
A new winter came through. It was terrible.
It was, yeah, right. And it never went above 55, 60-something degrees. In fact, yesterday was 60-something degrees. So when I looked at the ticket prices, the gold VIP event, because I'm old. I only look cute. I am not the youngest person. My body and my bones are aging. Don't laugh, David. Do not laugh. I just have to tell you what it is. And so when I looked at the gold VIP pass, I'm thinking I'll have some seats. I'll be able to be under a covered. Them jokers said, you will have seats as long as they're available. You will have such and such as long as there's seating available. And I'm saying to myself, if you're selling tickets for $1,400, every person that buys a ticket, $800 or over, should at least have a seat, at the very least.
You said $1,400?
I said $1,400 plus tax.
No.
Okay. So I decided, I opted, I posted, I said, you know what? Because I was going to, since I did not want to go as press. I just wanted to go and enjoy myself. And I didn't lie. So I didn't go to get a press pass. I said, let me just buy my ticket because I'm thinking, how much could it be? David, I did not go. I was like, I'm not doing that. I'll go to a Dundee this Sunday. Please meet me at a Dundee. Oh my God, I got to send you a text message. Right.
That I'm going to.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, and Rakeem and so stuff are going to be there. Oh, yeah. I see Mr. Man Frisbee start posting and say, oh, they're in trouble. He said, I'm going home. This is ridiculous. People were urinating in the bushes. Thank God Philadelphia Park System has a whole David, fix your face. Thank God Philadelphia Park System has a whole lot of bushes where women could go and urinate. And then there were folks passing out in line. They said that the people who were there as, as ambassadors of the Roots Picnic were so unkind to them. Well, look, baby, Mother did the math. 220, because a regular 1 day ticket is $225. $225 times 40,000. Ooh, hold on, let me get it right. Hey Siri, what's $225 times 40,000? That's $9 million. So that's $9 million a day for just regular folks, and times two, that's $18 million. Because remember, folks are coming.
We need to throw a
Hold on,
picnic.
so that's 18,000. Hey Siri, what is 1,400 times 5,000? $7 million. Right? Right? So 18 plus 7 is what, David? And you mean to tell me they could not figure this out? And I kept saying it feels like greed, right? So then they came on. They were like, "Yo, we didn't have nothing to do with the rain. The rain is, it's God, blah 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 blah." But if you're bringing in that kind of money, and you know the rain is coming, like the rest of us knew the rain was coming, why did you not prepare? Hello.
Well, it's funny you say this because every year I am forced to make a choice. Do I go to the Roots picnic or do I go to Devon Horse Show in County Fair?
Yep.
And I'm an equestrian, and I have babies, and I have 3 babies, and so for me, I have to be where my babies are, which is at the horse show. And in my family, we cover all bases. You can't get away from us everywhere you go. And so Joss always goes to the Roots picnic, and I always go to Devon. And this year, I said to her, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad. It's craziness. It's absolute craziness. I mean, the weather was horrible all the way around in both places, but at Devon we had shelters. Right?
Yes, right. Absolutely. Hold on 1 second. Laura said general admission was 100. Forgive me. It was $125. It's still a whole lot of money.
Okay.
Right?
So
and yes, Tiffany, you got to pay the artist, but if you don't have people to come to see the artist, what's the point? Right?
Here's the problem I'm having. The problem I'm having is, all right, so pay the artist, that's wonderful, but put up the shelters. So, we host house parties. We know how much it costs to tent things. We've seen concerts with big, huge tents. We've also seen rain dates. We've seen all sorts of, and beyond shelters, I mean, just things like chairs. If you're going to sell me a VIP ticket, the ticket comes with a chair. Part of my ticket price is my seat.
How about that?
So these are the things where it's hard for me to understand how that's put together. I don't know the organizers of the Roots picnic. I have not attended. I would certainly not be in the VIP line at the Roots picnic. I would be in the he's never been here before line. And so put him in the bush.
He's never been here before line.
We don't know her. So that's but my Devon experience was that it was cold and rainy. But
it
was a weird weekend. It was a very weird weekend. But I think the atmosphere in the room is speaking to us about the administration and the drugs that are being used in the Oval Office and the
Hold on. Wait. Let me just Winetta, Andrea Walker, Simone, Debbie, Tria, Joanne Kemp says they should give people a partial refund. Thomas says it's the Fry Festival of Philly. Tell me what you mean by that. Laura says it definitely was a money grab. I really want to go, but so knew it was going to be a muddy mess, and I'm not meant for that. I was meant for the prison. Oh, she said I was being sarcastic. Tiffany, it's a lot. So there's that. Okay, so we're going to move on.
And all of this, June happens to be the anniversary of Stonewall, and when
it's Black Music Month. It is June is all the things, right?
All the things, and so there was a lot going on this June that required me to be out in the street and to say hello to the people outside and to be.
Put the mic up to your elevator.
I better throw this thing out.
Don't worry, I'm gonna send you the link. Don't worry, I'll send you the link as soon as we get off the air.
In community with those people and really seeing the thousands of people who came outside in Philadelphia in support of so many things. The Roots picnic was not on my plate at that time.
Yes, wasn't Pride weekend this past weekend too?
It started this weekend as well, and that's a big one, particularly because of where we are in the world. What I will say about Pride is if you want to see an example of a marginalized community come out and be bold and loud and proud about whatever it is that they're experiencing in a time where it's dangerous so to do. The Pride Festival certainly was that way. There were no instances of violence reported that I know of. They're just together, lots of food trucks and people and families walking around. But it was about people going outside to be visible so that generations after them don't have to be. And I think that African Americans know that story, and in solidarity in this month of Black People's Music Month, as we look at that, and that's just been passed in City Hall. That would be honored and funding behind that. That we also think about, excuse me, we also think about coming out as a community together boldly to say to the place and space that we're in, to the governments that make laws for us, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah,
we're here, and you gotta deal with it. Yeah. So
so in light of all of that, Kelly Wyatt graduated with her master's degree, and she passed the principal test I'm going somewhere with this, the one that made my merch, and she passed the principal test in the first try. And so she had a party that she didn't charge anybody to go to. She had the party, and we all came and we brought her gifts. I have been saying this for years. My husband and I will not go to if you're having a birthday party or something celebrating yourself and you invite somebody, you should not charge them to come, right? We don't go. We just will not go. We'll send them a gift, but we're not going. It bothers me. It really does.
I feel this way at all but restaurants.
Yes, right. But if you're going to have it at a restaurant, right.
But if you go to your house and you're having a party, you charge people.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. Or even if you have it in an event space, this is to celebrate you. Yeah. So make sure you cover your own costs, and people will bring gifts, hopefully that'll help to cover defray the cost of what it costs you. But
you to tell people, friends, yeah, that ain't it.
Okay.
No.
But sitting in that room was a gentleman with a high security clearance in the federal government. And it became so startling obvious as he and I began conversing, how many people still have no idea. We still have 3 branches of government. We still have this. And he's looking at them and he's going, wait, what? Do you not understand what is happening in this country? He said, by the time people realize that the seed of democracy is absolutely wiped from underneath us, it'll be year 5. So he said, everybody's living their best lives right now and nobody is ready. Nobody. And I just.
The bill that was passed on the floor of the House that went to the Senate to be passed, in it has provisions that would allow the executive branch to decide that the Supreme Court has no power.
Yes, it's all in there on page 700 and something. Yes.
It's in there. And so when we look at that, that is the legislation and the power that would wipe away the checks and balances that exist within the government that we know. So I think that we are an eyes wide shut people. I don't want us to look at the visit of King Charles to Canada as a funny blight. That was a clear marking of denotation of where the UK is going to stand, of where Europe is standing. This is if you think you're going to annex Canada and make it North America.
So that's the other thing that he said. That's the other thing he said. He said, let me tell you something. These European countries, the one thing that everybody realized around the world is they don't need America.
They don't need you.
While we have all been touted as the biggest, the brightest, everything comes from, he said they don't. The European countries have gotten together and are working together to subvert whatever we're doing here. And so we're in such and he said, everything that we see on television is just a diversion. It's just a distraction to make us look at whatever the thing is. This thing is over here that's frightening everybody. He said, but the work that they're doing underneath is dangerous. And we need to get ourselves together. He said, I'm tired of talking. And so he and I are conversing, and he told Kelly, he said, that sister right there, she knows what she's talking about. I said, we've only been talking about it for over a year. Yeah. And so I'm very concerned about what's going to happen to the majority of us. The other thing he said was, white folks are beginning to realize that without Black people, he said, when this thing starts to really touch us, because we're accustomed to hardship and we're ready, right? He said, when Black people pull together like they did for Target, and cripple the economy, it crippled Target. He said, when Black people finally pull together is when all things are going to change. He said, but right now, he said, he told his friends, don't go nowhere, sit down, sip your tea, right? Because when we get involved, they bring out the dogs, they bring out everybody else, and we have to fight. He said, you cannot get a change in this country right now without bloodshed. And the blood that they want to shed is ours. They want us to come out and jump up and down and
And be
act like,
monkeys. And be
yes,
monkeys.
yes.
Go on, sit
And
down.
so
Yeah.
everybody else is protesting, we're home getting our canned goods together. We're putting our water together because we know that what's coming
We
is
see
going
it.
to be costly. Blood will be shed. And so I don't know what is going to take to get our people, all of us together, to say, you know what? Right now, we're waving our fans with Beyonce. We do it, and I'm not telling you not to enjoy your life. But he said, somebody came to him and said, "Oh, I need to go buy a new car." He said, "Sit your behind down. Don't buy nothing right now. The money that you're going to take to buy a car," he said, "you put it off to the side because you're going to need it." He said, "The American dollar is weakening as we speak, and we're watching our president say things like Biden was, assassinated. God knows how many years ago, and it was a clone of Biden. Like, why are we even feeding into this stuff? Why?" Why do we not? And I remember folks saying to me, "Andrea, we don't know what to do. We can't." Pastor Wallace said it yesterday. What's happening in our country right now is going to impact our grandchildren, our great grandchildren. And we're just sitting here like sitting ducks in the middle of all of it.
Like
We've
it's
lost
not
interest
happening.
because it's too much.
Like
But
it's
this is
not
our
happening.
lives.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Welcome to the shit show, right? I mean, and that's where we are. So for me, in my house, and how my friends and I have chosen to move, I have directed them to the lifeboats and told them to be first class passengers on that boat, and to claim their seat, and to prepare. And I can't do it over and over again. We've done it. We've told you what's going on. It's happened. The prices of things have gone exactly what we said. Right?
Yeah.
This is not. None of this is new. None of this is so. I don't. We don't have to rehash it this morning for the
No,
girls
we
in the
will
back
not.
who heard it.
Black
And
Jesus.
don't call me and ask me on my email about this and the other. Episode 4, 5, and 6
Mhm.
is posted. But I do. I think this is just. This is more the clown show. Watching the departure of Elon Musk. More the clown show. Watching how the press secretaries are handling things. More the clown show. Watching how it's a clown show. And I
Someone
think
said yesterday, David, hold on, because as I remember it, I got to say, someone said, "Well, Elon Musk is now out of those, so it's everything is calming down." And we looked at him and said, "Are you kidding?" I was like, "Hold my mule." I went
beans,
in.
greens, potatoes, tomatoes, ham, hog, frog, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes. Yeah, you name it. It's all there. You name it. The entire kitchen is sitting inside the White House. There's beans, greens, potatoes, and tomatoes. Not one of them is a government official doing anything that makes any sense. It is nuts. So the agreements. I mean, the Trojan horse. The story of the Trojan horse. Did no one ever hear about that? Who's working government? Why would you accept an airplane from people right, that we would have to dismantle to create Air Force One? Just these crazy things that are happening that everyone else says, whoa, and we just keep doing them moving forward. So you know, um, there's nothing more that we can say about
Yeah,
what that's going to look like for the
yeah,
American people, other than do what we told you 2 months ago and be prepared. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's not
Um,
changing.
so you have to put that thing up to your face. Someone said they can barely hear you speak, and this
I can't hear
microphone
me
is up,
either.
child. And
It's terrible. I think can you? Cause does it matter on what platform? Because
no,
somebody
so
might be
on
yelling.
YouTube we hear you very clearly. It's the other
Okay.
two. No one's fussing on Instagram, but on Facebook they're having a hard time, and it's
Yeah.
different with the different platforms. But
Yeah.
just it's going to be all right. Just
Interesting.
open up them ears a little bit harder, honey, or go
Ooh.
on over to YouTube and listen to Marvel because we're over there too, and it's loud and
Listen,
clear there. It's loud and
there
clear
is
there.
no failure in God. Listen. So yeah, it's. I was just thinking about where we are as a state of people, and
Mhm.
a whole, and where do we derive our joy, and where do we think, and it dawned on me um, how much we live today
Mhm.
without looking ever at tomorrow and what's coming. Like
Yes.
we forget what we just went through yesterday to live in this very moment, and we have no preparation for where we're going, and that's a scary place
Yeah.
for many Americans. And I think that it's going to be a reckoning that shakes us down to our core. I um, my wisdom again is to do the things that we have said to do for months and months and months, even when you think they're silly, so that when those things come up, you're prepared. For the friends of mine who went out and got the gold when it was $1,800 an ounce, it's at 3,000 some odd dollars an ounce, right? For the people
Mm.
who did this and the other, but these are the things that we've told you. The economic markers, these are the things we told, are the symptomatic markers of the military. This is what's happening in other places. Fine. Am I worried about how Caucasian people will reckon with this issue? Not really, right? Because a choice was made within that community that said we don't want this black woman in power, and so
Mhm.
we'll take the devil, who we named the devil. Like we didn't call them. Like, they named him the devil the last time. Like, they were locked in their houses and complaining. It was the Republicans who were putting him out, who were getting ready to use amendments that would allow
Impeachment
them to.
filed articles of impeachment twice
Well, not just
in
articles of
both
impeachment.
states.
Articles of impeachment came from the Democratic side. I can understand that, but when you in your own Republican House are filing to have the president removed, saying that he's a danger to America, and you are ready to sign that piece of paper, Mike Pence is ready to sign that. This is your people, right? Making this in that this is the devil. This is a crazy person. You put him back in the office so you didn't have to look at a black woman in power. Okay, fine. So if when we get down to the crux of it, because when you ask people about this stuff in the economy, there's not really economy, because they realize their economy was actually fine, that they were making money from when they started. When you show them the numbers, it goes up and up and up.
Mhm.
Okay, fine. It's not that. It's not the jobs. They realize that they didn't make the jobs, and they're still standing with it. Why is it? It's this idea that they were not going to see a black woman as
Become
their as
president,
their chief.
commander in chief.
That wasn't going to be that, not in this white country. Well,
And I
now
think that's the reckoning. Not I don't think that's the reckoning that America is now facing.
it is.
They're
I
looking
don't
in the
know
mirror
that.
at themselves.
I don't know. However, this is the problem I'm having, is I don't see the shift that says we're not okay with that. We still would make the same choice if we had to make it again. If we ran the election over again today, I think they'd make the same choice. I
Yes.
don't think they have moved the needle at all, how they feel intrinsically deep within themselves about who they are and their tribe and what that means to them. And I want to echo that most of the people who are in America, who are descendants of people who were from Europe, are the descendants that Europe didn't want. They are the discarded Europeans. They're not the Europeans that Europe prized and wanted to keep. These aren't the big names of fancy people. These
The
aren't
queens would
the
put them on ship. The queen would put them on ships and send them out. Send them
ship
out.
them
Yep.
to the Americas, right? Get rid
Hmm.
of these people. These are people that were under persecution. These people causing
Hmm.
problems in England and other
Hmm.
places that
But there
ended
are
up
people
here.
who would listen to us now and say, David, and forgive me because I'm so excited at this point, but there are people who would listen to us now and say, that's not, where is that in the history books? Well,
It's there.
it's
It's
still
absolutely
there.
there. Now,
Whether you erase them from schools or not, it's still there.
there's an entire Broadway play. If you can't read it in the book, please go see, what happened in Hamilton. Please go see what happened if you can't read it, if you don't want to go down the street in Philadelphia to the National Constitution Center and read what was written. And so when people say to me things like, well, this isn't for all people, this was for us. Actually, it was for all people, because they were all being put out of other places when they came to
Yes.
create this document.
Yes.
This document speaks about ye who are put out, disenfranchised, broken, and rejected. Come to
Yes.
America, where you
Yes.
can become a citizen. That's the entire point of this country and its foundation. The
Yes.
descendants of those people have decided that they now are more important.
Yes.
So that's the mirror look back that I think we have to look at and see what happens when the descendants of those people realize that they sunk their own ship. My feeling is that they're not going to care. They'd rather die than be taken over. That's how they feel, right? They feel taken over. They'd rather die. They'd rather blow up the institution that they created and founded to create something new, if it means that they're going to have to reckon with the fact that they're not so genius, not so creative, not able to do all the sort of building things, or the philanthropic pretense that they speak with in writing documents like the Articles of Confederation, are just silly pieces and phrases that came together that was yonder and yore for really only their grandfathers and their people. We watched this when we talk about white South Africans being moved from South Africa to America to create safe haven for them because there's some persecution. There's the persecution of white South Africans. And I was having this conversation with someone else, and I said, even if you can point to me to a farmer or two who's having their behind whooped over this issue of apartheid. They deserve to have their behind whooped over this issue of apartheid. You came in and stole people's land, stuck them in squatter communities, then lost the government. And when they came back and said, get off of my land, you refused. You, whatever percent of people, 1 or 2, whatever it is, who own
Mhm.
all of the land that you have stolen from people. If you think that you can just steal things and sit there, you are mistaken. So
Mhm.
now, when we look at world politics, economics, and this and the other, we see another place where land has been stolen in Palestine. And we see the reaction of a Benjamin Netanyahu to this Trump alliance with
And to the
people in the Middle
world who's
East,
watching
and
all
to the
these people
world who's watching.
die.
And let me tell you something. One of the things that's very interesting about this Trojan horse in the airplane that we just accepted is the stance of the country on Israel and Palestine relations, because that country would like to see Israel blown into the water. So when Trump signed the dotted line and took the big grand gift of the new Air Force One, what was signaled to Israel was, you're on your own. And I don't know that that's such a bad thing, because there's another portion of land which was stolen by people who were non-descendant of that particular area, because remember, those people are European. They were put out of Europe, shipped to the United States, where they weren't allowed to come to the
Right?
country,
They did not allow
where
them to come here, right?
anti-Semitism was so fragrant and present in Europe and in America that they had nowhere to go. And it was Lord Rothschild, Balthasar de Rothschild,
Mhm.
and the
Went to the
president, I think,
British
at that time,
Parliament.
who went to
Yes.
the British Parliament, who then went to the United
Mhm.
Nations and partitioned off a piece of the land of Palestine to create
Mhm.
Israel as a place to stick Jewish people. This was not about returning to a Zionist understanding of home. Zionism was birthed out of something that has nothing to do with the Torah, because the Torah says, when he comes back, wherever he is, you shall go to, and that place should be the New Jerusalem. It doesn't say go back to the old Jerusalem and steal it, right? And
Mhm.
so this understanding of even land ownership is a nomadic people. So when we look at the world economics and the world powers and what is going on now, we see a setup for major war. And I think that sometimes we sit eyes wide shut without a historic context, without an understanding. Um, One of the things I love so much about history and being a student of history is you can pause in that and dig into that and understand from whence you move forward. You know, at the
Mhm.
same time that the laws in Rome are being written about marriage and this and the other, that people are now fighting so hard to remove, for instance, GLBTQ people from the earth and this and the other. In Rome, sitting in Rome, is a king, right, who happens to be married publicly to a man, right,
Mhm.
with big wedding ceremony in the public square and this, that, and the other, dressed them in a bridal uniform, where this was not a problem. So that is not what the law clearly could not be about that if the king was married to a man, right? That, no. So the word in Hebrew is actually rape that we're talking about. And do you know the law in that period said that it was legal for men to rape women? And
Mhm.
so it is not lawful that you should sleep with a man in the way in which you sleep with a woman, means you may rape a woman, and it is unlawful to sodomize a man, to rape him. We don't want to look at the context of conversation with the gay king, right? We don't want to look at that context and understand where we're going from. So we create and modernize a new historic truth. We do the same thing with Israel and Palestine. We do the same thing with America and what it means to be an American and what it means to be other. We do the same thing with the idea of world power, immigration, religious principle across the board. So until we can sit down and become a history student, until we can open up a book and read it, maybe in its original language, Greek, Aramaic as a spoken tone,
But do you
we won't
understand that
understand.
they worked so diligently to make sure that people weren't learning, that they were not, how many people actually, and with YouTube, you literally can hear the history. You don't
Yeah,
have to read the damn history,
yeah. Then
but
they
we
burned the
have to
book.
become more, yes. And
They
this
burned the
gentleman
book.
that I was talking to yesterday said, it's all there. It's all there. We just refuse. We'd rather go switch our fans and do whatever we want to do and to be cute and to spend our trillions of dollars that, spending habit. We have to pull back and really start to absorb what is going on in this country through the history, what's going on in the world through the history, how it's all connected. The United Arab Emirates are incredibly against Israel. When he went over there and started taking the plane, and I was like, wait, and
Netanyahu. Did you see Glenside? What Glenside was doing? I call him Glenside. I don't call him Netanyahu. I call him Glenside because he's from Glenside.
he is from
Uh,
that.
so that's a whole other thing. You over here from
Yes.
Glenside behaving like this. When that signaling went out to the world that America's commander in chief was being lauded like a king in the place that was the most anti-Israel,
Hmm.
That was a very
But
interesting
how many
signal.
people actually caught that? How many
Nobody,
people caught? That's what it was
nobody reported that. Nobody reported that. Where was that reporting in the news? It was missing. We were talking about the women moving their hair back and forth. We were just,
Yeah, and we were talking about the four
we were
hundred million
so,
dollar plane, and we were
we were
talking
talking about the
everything
Trojan horse,
except
right? We did
right.
not talk about the fact that this man went over and had a state visit and was lauded like a king in the place that hates Israel the most. The people who supported Hamas with funding and would like to see Israel become beachfront property have offered Donald Trump business deals, have offered him real estate deals. Oh, I can't wait till the Jews catch on to this one. Have offered Donald Trump the largest American accepted gift by a government ever in the history of this country against the United States Constitution's clause about how much you could or could not accept, which was nothing, basically.
Yeah. Laura is saying the readers are saying that late summer, fall, Trump will be removed by some other man. So if y'all think this is just about Trump, it is not.
Yeah. No, no,
It's a
no.
bigger movement. He just happens to be the face of this movement
He's the
in this
pawn on the
moment.
board. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the part, you know. And when I hear folks say this is American, these things can't happen here, and there will
It's
be no be.
happening. Happening. It's happening. And this is how we were formed. I know what people, history again, people. How did America become America? It was not America. It was Great Britain. It was part of the United Kingdom. It was part of France. It was part of other countries. That's after it was stolen from the Native American
Mhm,
people who were here in the first
mhm,
place, right? So once
mhm,
it became a European colony, it was the people of America under the laws of the European colony who tossed that right on out and held a police act, not a war, according to the people in Great Britain. There was no war. They didn't send another fleet of ships. They sent police. And when the police were like, this is not going to work, they left. Right? There was no big skirt. The parliament in Great Britain said, we're not funding this. Sorry,
mhm,
King George. Right? So when we look at the truth of how America became America, this pattern of behavior is not new to America. To tear up your own understanding of governance, to throw it out of the window, to create problems which are worse for you. By the way, our tax was much lower from the day that we left the United Kingdom as a colony than it has ever been as a standalone United States of America. We have always paid effectively more tax in the United States of America than they have ever paid as a
mhm,
colony of England. Like I needed to hear that, right? So that whole thing about the Tea Party, where we threw our own provisions into the Boston
mhm,
Harbor and set ourselves on fire and cut off our own heads and blamed on Native Americans for the French and Indian War, for all those sorts of things that we did, right? For all of the removing of Mexican people from the southern coast of America, from the west southern coast of America, right? That whole portion now that we love to go and be in the beach at, that whole area down until you get down to Texas, all of that was Mexico. Mexico went
yeah,
all the way up the side of our country. And now we look at those people and say they do not belong in this land. They were here well before we were ever here, established, helped to create this thing. And then we bought, conned them out of that land for a few dollars and shipped them off after a skirmish and a hideous little war, right? And now we say that those are the people which are horrific and do not belong in this place. So I want us to understand who we are as a people in the United States of America. The only group of people in the United States of America which does not share that history, and we never want to talk about it this way, but here's a highlight, right? Is the people who were shipped here as merchandise. So the people shipped as merchandise, those of us who carry a particular type of melanin, um, have never been a part of that American grab for power, that they've never been allowed to participate in that type of way of being by systematic racism, systematic disenfranchisement, right? Told you don't get to play in the pie like that, you can't piece of pie. And every time we've
mhm,
achieved and reached something, have had Tulsa burned down, have had institutions removed. We've had to operate in different ways because of that. Our mind is not set up to take our governance and toss it out of the window and create a new something that does not serve us.
right.
Therefore, we are a problem because this group of people, unlike every other immigrant group who's ever come here, established themselves as American, as Caucasian American, and therefore as a part of the history of the story that will be protected, as a part of the members of the table, which must always be in power, right? We sit in an awkward place. We were not immigrants in the way in which other people were immigrants. We weren't fleeing anything. We were shipped here We were shipped here in ships like packages, right? And now we exist here.
And they
That's
want us
a
gone with
what do
all our
you
gifts and talents. Because remember,
well
they were
yes
strategic in who they brought from where,
yeah
right?
yeah but remember they also can't get rid of us because they don't know how to operate the boat. So when you cut off once you ship home the Mexicans, what do you do about the oranges on the trees? Once you got rid of these
Right,
people, what do you do about the toilet that has to be flushed? What do you do about this and the other? And also, who created all these mechanisms? We don't like to give ourselves credit, but who created the stoplight? Who
right.
created
The filament in
GPS?
the boat.
Who
Who
created
created the
who
GPS?
like who did all of these things, right? When we look at who's creating medical advancements, these are come on, brown people, take some credit for what you do in the world.
Yeah,
But understand that in that place in space, we also can't get rid of you because then what happens is what?
right,
Then what? Who will we blame then?
right.
Now we have a bigger problem. The bigger problem is there's no more white people to make white.
Yeah.
There's nobody else who's got a color that doesn't look something like this that we can make white.
And
Indians,
then when you add to the fact that interracial relationships
woo, through the
have
roof,
grown,
through the roof.
yes,
So
yeah,
they see the dissolution of themselves every day of the week and twice on Sunday. The numbers are dwindling. So this issue of gay marriage, that has nothing to do with gayness. It has everything to do with procreation. This issue of wives at home and not at work has nothing to do with women's liberation and rights. It has everything
stick
to
a pin,
do,
stick a pin, stick a pin. Wives
yes,
at work,
yes.
in the diner, having
Mm,
breakfast
mm.
Saturday morning. White man is in there. Two white men. One looked like he was in his late 30s, early 40s. The other one looked like he was in his late 50s. The one in his late 50s loudly proclaimed that his wife makes more money than him, and he wants none of this because he's grateful that the country is where it is right now because women need to go back to knowing their places. His wife's name is Lisa. Lisa, he tells Lisa she's not to spend money on such and such and such. Lisa spends the money on such and such and such, and he doesn't have the money, the wherewithal to tell her not to. He calls a husband-wife meeting, and he has an agenda, and Lisa doesn't show up for the meeting.
Go on, Lisa.
and
Yes, Lisa.
and he's been, and the younger white guy says, well, how long have you been married? He said about 4 or 5 years, almost going to 5 years. And the younger white guy is looking at him going, bruh, this is not going to work for you. And so he said to the younger white guy, how long have you been married? He said 15 years. And I listened to my wife and we worked together as a team. And he says, well, your wife has probably come to the conclusion that she has to follow what you say, but the Bible says. And he went into the Bible, and baby, meanwhile, I'm sitting there, and the faces, there was a black woman behind him, and
Hard.
she was taking her fork and stabbing her food. People in the restaurant were like, oh my God, people really believe and think
See,
this.
see, I'm telling you, it has
This
everything
is
to
two
do with
days ago.
it's everything to do with the procreation and the control to create little munchkins that can go along and be empowered
Look at
somewhere.
this.
So this is nothing to do with anything other than control.
That's
This is about
crazy.
control, about seizing power and control and maintaining it. And so I am not shocked or surprised by his statements. But I come from a family where women made a lot of money, right? They were in really big and super big,
Mhm.
powerful positions of things, but medically, corporately, this and the other, educationally. I mean, these women in my family have been educated since education
Mhm.
existed. When you weren't allowed to be educated, they still got educated, right?
Mhm.
So it is not odd to me to see powerful women in power and men who actually listen to their wives, right? It is a
Whether
little
they
more
work
odd for
together
me.
as a team, dear
And e-
God.
and even then, like I was raised in a household where the household was ruled by the person who was mom, right? That ruled the house, and dad made money so that mom could
Who
spend
ruled
it,
the house?
and
Yes.
mom made money so mom could
Yeah.
spend it. But I remember mom making money for dad to spend it. And so like that didn't that I don't know the
Yeah.
dynamic. That's odd for me. Um,
Yeah.
but I do know that this is the reason why people go out and vote. They say these things. They want women to be back in the kitchen, barefoot and pregnant.
And the
They want.
messaging is loud and clear.
Oh yes, they're
And
bold.
women, so a bunch of white women, when Trump was in office the first time, went and had hysterectomies. They were like, you can't tell me what to do with my body. So instead of it working in favor of the government, women are just like, yeah, we're not doing this. Women are now opting, white women in particular, are now opting
Get rid
not
of
to
it.
have any children. right? Alexandra says David Jenkins, and I agree with Alexandra. That's not entirely true. We were indentured servants first, but they were given land and money when servitude was over. So that's when they created the caste system. Because remember,
Which one are we talking
black
about?
people were indentured servants first before they turned us into slaves. We were working alongside everybody, and then they created the caste system. This is in the 1600s. They created the caste system because the
We're
white
talking about
folks were
in
like,
North
they're making
America.
as much money as we are. We need to set a caste system.
So
And it just went from bad to worse.
we're talking about the North Atlantic slave trade in North
Yes.
America, right? So in the north of America, my family coming in the 1650s, being a part of this in some of that way, when the British government was still there and we were British sovereignty, there was some caste system. There was also slavery. And at that point, slavery was not an institution of race alone. It was not until the United States
The Irish
founded
people were
itself.
also enslaved,
Irish
right?
people were also indentured, and they were not considered slave. They were also indentured, right? Slavery becomes an institution of race once America is founded, and the North Atlantic slave trade is cemented as a North Atlantic slave trade, and that is a place at which none of us came and were able to be anything but in some way owned or ownership. So yes, there is some flexibility in how people get to America, but once we are a country called America, the problem that we have of importation is that blacks coming to America are imported as objects without rights, right? So written into law without rights. 1/4 of a man or 2/3 of a person, more like monkey. Conversations around, are black people monkeys? Are we people at all, right? So it's harder to argue because the reason why we bring this up and why that's important to circle and put a pin in is because when you want to argue legally to remove people from Mexico or from Brazil or from any one of the places like that, or from China or from this, you can say these people came here using the laws of America and they somehow abused the law to get here and they've become illegal and they've procreated in this place. You cannot point to a rule of law. Remember, this is the people who want to go with the actual words written on a document. Because if I
Right.
do that, I have to admit that the United States government looked at black people as monkeys and shipped them here as packages. And so I can't say that they're here illegally. I can't make a case that they don't belong here even. I can't make a case that they should be put anywhere because I forced them here.
Here.
And there's the nuance that I want us to gravitate on around why it is that black people are the challenge right now. What do you do with them? You can do anything with the rest of these people because these other people have a history that legally says, well, at some point they hit a piece of paperwork, and at some point we can twist this law. The rules around black people are we are shipping packages which are not quite human. And now those packages are people with rights who outpace us, outlearn us, out educate us, out economically perform us in their smaller numbers by percentage every day of the week and twice on Sunday. And they are a tremendous threat because they don't have the thing inside of them that says they've ever rested. They've never rested. They've never been comfortable. We've never allowed them to be comfortable. Because of that, they've always been built for war. They've learned to survive in stress. What do you do with a creature who learned to survive in stress when they are peaceful? Uh-oh, they're going to be super powered. They're going to be so powerful. So it's the lean.
Yeah, it's interesting that you said that. I remember an educator telling me in 2016 that they voted for Donald Trump because through the K-12 institution, they tried everything to minimize the gifts and talents of black children by telling them that they didn't teach them didn't put them in the higher learning classes, etc. And they're concerned because when they looked up, what they noticed was those same black children, girls and boys, would then go off to college, struggle through the first year or two, and then rise like the phoenixes. They were like, how is it that we did that? And they were very transparent with me. And they're still learning and growing. And one woman says, I am pregnant with my white son. And I am tired of black women being the largest group of people that are educated, that have higher degrees, even than us. We used to get our jobs from our uncles and our fathers, that we would just get the jobs. Now the degrees are making it difficult. And so they're figuring out ways to still keep us out of systems. And the guy that I was talking to yesterday said, once black people figure out that we have enough intellectual property between us, that we have enough money between us, America's in trouble. Right, but right now we're distracted by the things that are around us. I want to go, I want to buy the BMW, I want to live in a house with 4,000 square feet because I want to emulate what I see my white neighbor doing, when quite frankly, no matter how much money we make, Oprah, no matter how much education we have, let's name somebody else, and no matter how high an office we go to, the presidency, Barack Obama, nothing has changed. We're still seen and valued as monkeys, and there is a
Or, or did the conversation say nothing has changed, but the fear show you something has
has
changed?
changed, right? Because
There's
they're
a
looking at
fear.
the data, right? So they're
There's
going
the
into the treasury now.
If you commit
Look,
suicide in order to stop a paradigm from becoming great, then you know that there's a problem. So the thing that I know that I know that I know that I know that I know, right? There's a Candace Johnson. The thing that I know that I know that I know is that this amount of fear that is allowed you to flip the table
mhm,
and get rid of everybody and damage yourself, wipe it clean, is the last ditch effort, because you recognize that there are a lot of mixed little babies being born who, by law, are black because they have that little one drop rule that we never
yeah,
got rid of.
yeah.
Right? We recognize that we have all these people who are powerful in places that they shouldn't be. And unlike in times of Jim Crow, when we had blacks in government, they were powerful and they were doing things, we could just get rid of them, delete them. These black people today are not the same black people.
No, they're not.
They're not the
No,
same
they're
black
not.
people.
Alexandra says there's an animated documentary on PBS YouTube channel outlining the history of race in America. Hence why they're chipping away at the 14th Amendment to take away our birthright here. A
There you
friend
go.
warned us back in 1990 that what we are facing today was going to happen. He was a history major in grad school.
Hmm.
And here we are now talking to you about that the chickens have come home to roost. This is where we are. And yet in today's world, as much as yesterday, people keep saying this is not happening. We're still America. People believe that all the machinations that were put in place, the three branches of government, they don't understand. It's all been gutted. One of the better conversations I had was with a judge who said to me at an event some weeks ago, he said, the United States is no more. We believe it is, but it's no more. It's been gutted. We are heading towards a space where people just don't understand. And the longer we walk in, I'm just going to go to the Beyonce concert and wave my fans. The longer we move in a space of, I'm just floating through this thing because it can't possibly happen because of what we're being told, but because of what we're hearing. That big, beautiful bill,
I can
when
say
it
I was
passes, is going to destroy so much for so many of us, some of the freedoms that we thought we had.
well, we're feeling it anyway. I mean, I can tell you that there is a palpable anger in the world, in the rooms that I often walk through. People who um, may have privately been uncomfortable with my life situation, with my being, are loudly, more actively, uh, more physically present in their anger about black people who look like me, move like me, sound like me,
Mhm,
have their life as me.
mhm,
And it is odd. I mean, I don't know if you're feeling this as well when you go into spaces, but there is whereas before someone may have asked you a question, well, who are you and how
mhm.
possibly? And now they come to you and they say, you don't have the right
To be
to be
here.
you. And you look around and you say, oh no, I built this. This is my not and the first years it's shocking all. But you and I can remember my grandparents and their parents, no. This land has always been ours for 400 years.
Mhm.
Right? No. No, you don't belong here. You came but we built, this is ours. This is pre-slavery ours, right? So touching back on that,
Mhm.
right? This is a black family which once enslaved other people
Mhm.
and had Irish indentured servants and then married them to each other and then had families that would say that. And this
Yeah.
is it's walked through the fabric of this country and the building of it
Mhm.
no. But now today they're bold enough to say we want to remove you from such and such a space
Yes.
because we are
Yes.
threatened and
Yes.
angered by
Yes.
your presence, which you could never say before. Before you had to say, "Oh, it's so funny. Now, how do you do this? Oh, it's interesting. I always see you in such a room. How do you go to such a room? And I would love to be a part of such a room."
I
Yeah.
remember, David, I remember sitting in an event and a white woman sitting beside me. She says, "Who do you know to gain access to this place?"
I, you know, I was having a conversation with a family advisor, a financial advisor, and Morgan Stanley guy, really wonderful. And he used to always say to me, David, I want you to go to another institution, get a doctorate. I'd love for you to have an Ivy League doctorate on top of all the other stuff. And I said, why? He says, well, because it makes it easier for us. I want you to pause right there. I am specific to not go get an Ivy League doctorate. I'm specific to not go get paper that gives me
To
entry
prove
into the
right.
room, entry into the room I was born in. I will not go and validate my birthright with a piece of paper that I just achieved. No, I want you to be uncomfortable. I want you to say, David, what do you do? And me to say, I don't. And for that to rock you to your core, because that then says, well, you have no other reason to be here other than the fact that you were birthed out of something and landed here. And that bothers at the core. It bothers at the core. And there are so many of us who need to take on that stance of, I exist here because I belong here, not because I have achieved the right to stand in the room I was born in. Right. And so I'm watching now today, like nowhere else before. People are not just inquisitive about my nature in the room, but they're angry. And they will
Yes.
do whatever they can to to remove me from the spaces that for them are too glamorous, too privileged. And it's hard because I'm like a rock. I'm not going anywhere. And I just kind of look at them. You can cry, beat your breast, whatever it is. But I'm watching it. I'm watching. They come up with charges. They figure this. They look at whatever. What can we do? How can we shake? There's nothing. There's nothing we can do because there's nothing there that would allow such a moment. And that, I think, that's new for me to watch that. So I'm seeing what's happening in the law. I'm seeing
And
the underhanded stuff.
yes, but here's the other thing: the atmosphere around the world is a dark energy around us. The weather is shifting and changing in ways we can't even begin to imagine.
Yes.
Mount Etna just erupted in Sicily, even though they saw the warning on the wall. The hurricane season is upon us. There's all the every. Remember, energy is a real, live, living
It's
thing.
real. It's real, and you have to protect yourself and your energy. You got to get that water and protect yourself from that injury. Are you doing it? Are you speaking to the water before you drink it? Y'all speak to
Yes,
the water. Please speak to the water.
it's
Speak
it's
to, there
it's,
was a
it's people
there's
just
a black
believe it's a
woman.
thing.
There's a black woman who talked about the power of prayer and the fact that her mother was a witch in church. And I think I sent this to you, but she comes from what she calls generation of witches. She calls it good witches, but witches, people who practice spells but were Christian, who were in churches from the time of slavery forward, have always been there. When you talk about circling a person and praying over them, that there is power in the prayer. That's a spell. When you talk about corporately praying about a thing, that is energy. That's a spell. When you talk about speaking over something, that is energy. That's a spell. So she's breaking it down that way. But how we perceive what it means to craft something or how what. But in that same vein, talking about energy and transfer of energy and movement and this and the other, scientifically, we know this to be true. I just had an experiment in my own home where I put orchids, right, living orchids, plants, in a room where they were the only plant in the room near sunlight. And then I moved them to a room just as sunny, but with plants that were cut flowers. And the orchids die close to the same rate as the cut flowers in the room of the death of the flowers. And they survive in the room where there are no other cut flowers. So the energy of death, the energy of life is important to us, how we move, how we think, how we speak, how we have a being, how we pray over, how we intend and
Yeah,
make intent out of our day. So
yeah.
when you drink your water, speak to it, pray over
Not
it,
only that,
intention it.
awesomely lovey said something that I knew to be true. Um, Denise and I were talking the other day. I lived almost 3 decades in Abington, and one of the leaders of that town kept saying, every time I try to close a door or a window, people find a way. Andrea finds a way. She's like moving water, and it was frustrating this person. There are people living amongst us that have a covering that has a covering. You try to destroy them, that covering is coming for you with a vengeance, right? And so there's a name for it in Yoruba, a term, but they're manifold. You ever try to just keep destroying somebody and they
Yeah.
keep rising, right? I swear, when I was a baby, a man came and knocked on the gate and told my mother I had a third eye, and she ran him.
Yeah.
She was like, and she
Yeah.
she only told me this like a year before she died. She said there's something covering you, some ancestors or something. Every time
Yeah.
somebody comes to destroy you, they find themselves destroyed for some strange reason and they can't figure it out, and you're still moving. And not
Yeah.
because I'm harming or hurting anybody. There's a covering,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. We have the
And,
same.
and that covering comes because you have ancestors who are looking over you, making sure that you are okay no matter what is going on,
Oh,
because you have a mission in this life.
it's
And
so funny you say
I was
this.
about 2 when my mother realized that I
Yeah.
am here to love on and to help and support people. So she said, if they come for you, they're
Yeah.
going to be destroyed. You don't have to do a thing.
It's so funny you say this because I was shopping in a little thrift store years ago, and a woman walked up to me and she said to me, "He's he's with you. Your grandfather is on your shoulder. He's
Mhm.
always with you. He's one of your guard. You've got all of these ancestral guards." And she started naming people in my family who had passed. My
Yeah.
grandfather, my
Mhm.
aunts, my uncle, this and the other, who were around, people from before who are with you. And she said that nothing is going to
Yes.
harm you. Right? This is weird, right? That kind of thing. That when it happens. Now, at the
Because
time, I thought
it forms. They try,
it
they
forms.
come, they try to the. I saw somebody
Ooh.
the other day, Friday evening, that thought they were destroying me and came smiling because they didn't recognize me. I had on a hat, and I looked up, and the smile froze on his face, and he kept sneaking back and looking at me, and I was like, gotta be careful. And to your point, I've had that same thing happen to me in Miami. This lady was like, God sent me a message for you. She said, do you believe in God? I said, of course I do. And she
Mm,
starts telling me, there's one person you have not forgiven. You gotta forgive that person because your life has such meaning. I was in the produce junction. That happened again. The lady was like roomy eyes. Her eyes looked like she couldn't even see. She said, you're the reason why I'm in here. And she starts talking to me. So y'all got to understand that energy is a thing, that God is here, that there's a higher realm. And when you come from an ancestry of loving and taking care of those around you, you will be protected.
that's
The,
right.
and the reverse
They
happens
didn't
when
build all this.
yes, the
They didn't build all
reverse
this to
happens
tear
when
it
you are
down.
nasty to people and you expect everybody
Absolutely.
to fix and do everything for you. And then you wonder why, well, nobody called me when such and such and such, because there's something wrong with your behind. There's a spirit inside of you that is
Yeah.
self-serving,
Yeah.
right? And so we must believe all this stuff. It is June 2nd. It is how many degrees is it outside? 53 degrees, child. On June 2nd, on the year of this Lord of 2025, the energy that we're carrying around is shifting in the world, right?
Fix your
Volcanoes
energy.
are erupting, earthquakes are happening, there's all kinds of crazy things.
I need you all to protect your energy, right? So that's so
Ooh,
there's this. So this is the conversation about the water. So in that truth of what we need to do to maintain, Black people, you have walked with an energy and an ancestry which has gotten you here today. And
yeah.
believe me, those
Eleda,
ancestors,
yes,
they
JI. She called it the Eleda. Thank you, JI. Somebody still
yes,
reminded me what
yes,
awesomely lovey
the
called it. Yeah.
ancestors, yes, yeah. So that walks with you. It's been upon you since the day you were born,
Yep.
and you will become a part of that energy in your movement as you go on to the
Yep.
next realm. For those who are left behind, walk with that energy. And it's funny because I watch my nieces and nephews, my younger family members, and they have this energy. They
Yes.
have the same
Yes.
protection, and the power in them,
Mhm.
the way they just are. They just have their being in their
Mhm.
way. It just is
Mhm.
innate in them. So I think it's amazing that you shared that this morning on the air, because I've had those
Mhm.
experiences that they always feel a little
Mhm.
nuts to me in my personal realm, and then I'm
Mhm.
confirmed that they happen.
Oh,
Yeah.
they do. And
Oh
there
yeah.
and there's a whole group of us where our ancestors were really doing what needed to be done. Remember, if your ancestors are horrible and terrible, that's going to follow you through generations.
It's
You got to
coming
be able
over
to break that
generations.
thing. Absolutely. I shared with Janelle, I did a podcast, and I don't know how many people saw it, but I remember driving through Philadelphia and I went to a stop sign, and as I was coming, there was a car like maybe 12 feet away from me. The car lifted over my car.
Mm,
And
mm.
I was like, did I just, because it ain't my time to roll up out of here, right? I am here for a mission. And I couldn't tell anybody. It was the strange, but it felt surreal, like it happened in the spiritual realm, but the car was so close to me and did not hit me, child.
It's funny. This is a weird. Y'all watching? We did. This is
We did not
so.
plan this.
We did not. I was on my way to the Hamptons on the LIE, and
Mhm.
was in a Tesla, and with a friend driving up to the Hamptons, and a duck or whatever came into the road, and that car drove off the road to avoid the duck, went between a fire hydrant and a gas line, right? Missed a tree, and went through what I thought was Jurassic Park. In sitting in the car as I was in the air going through the trees, it was like going through Jurassic Park to me.
Mhm.
And it landed in the wall of a bridge. Okay. I got out of the car. I didn't know I had a
Mhm.
broken foot at that time. I got out of the car. My friend Evan got out of the car. The car was half gone.
Mhm.
Gone. We
Mhm.
smashed all the way up to the cabin, but we were okay. They took us to the hospital. He ended up with a broken leg. I had a broken foot for a while. But the experience of time stopping, when I tell you that journey through the Jurassic Park like forest was at least 10 minutes. It was not. It was a long journey through
Mhm.
every
Yep.
leaf, every drop
Mhm.
of water on every leaf, every
Mhm.
branch hit that window, passed me by. I felt I could name it. When we
Yes.
finally landed and stopped, there was no crash impact feeling. There was
Mhm.
no. It was just like the car just stopped.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
I thought, okay, we've stopped in the forest somewhere. The trees have stopped us. When we got
Mhm.
out of the car and realized the car was half gone,
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
must have been an impact. There must have been
So,
whatever else.
so there's a reason why you are here and you are
They
being protected.
carried it. They carried it down. When I
Yep.
tell you that I fly in planes all the time, and when the storms get, I don't like a storm. I've been in storms and planes where the plane is doing like this, and I have said, make it stop.
Yes. Yep.
And I thought,
Yep.
oh, that's weird.
Yep.
That's weird. Get me
Yep.
to that. This kind of, there is energy. And so glad you're talking about this energy. I'm so glad that we're
It,
having
it,
this
it it
conversation
absolutely matters,
for
right?
other
And
people who
so,
experience this energy to
yes.
lean into it instead of to
Mhm.
run from it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
God is amazing. 309. Somebody, it was like 90 something degrees outside. Somebody cut off my little Honda Civic. I just bought the Honda Civic, but my son was two, the oldest one, and I'd sent him to Jamaica with my father. My father came here and got him. That person cut me off. My tires became melted rubber as I was trying to stop. My
Mm,
car flipped over a fence and rolled 4 times with me in it. When I was able to come out, the car was this big, right?
mm,
I should not. I didn't have a scratch on me, not
mm.
a scratch.
Covering.
When I went to the insurance company and they saw the picture of the car, the guy said, "You walked out of that. I had not a scratch."
Mm.
And so you know that you're protected, that you are protected. And there's just some folks you just look at and you just leave them the hell alone, which is
Yep.
why people will look at you walking down the street and go, "Ooh, there is something there."
They do this. Even yesterday,
Hmm.
I was walking the streets yesterday, and the
Hmm.
amount of people that went, ooh,
Yes, that
and I went,
energy,
ooh, back.
that energy.
There's an
But
energy.
remember when we met each other?
Yes, yes. You said, oh, see, and I said, oh, look at you. It was like
Yes, it
two
was
white lights.
2018.
Yeah,
We
like two white
literally
lights
looked at
coming
each other,
through.
and somebody kept saying, "Sarah, you need to meet this guy that's walking around in Philadelphia." Didn't even know you were Josh's cousin. When you walked up and said, "Girl, your outfit is,"
Just,
I
it
said,
was like
"Child, I've been trying to get to know you. I've
it
been
was like there
seeing
was
you
a
all over
light.
there." It
There's a
was.
light around
It
you, and
was.
I always say to people, when you see Andrea coming down, you see it. There's a light. It beams coming down the street. Whatever
So
the energy, the force is, it comes with you as you move through the
and
street.
it makes people crazy, right?
Yeah, they don't
It
like it.
does. There are people who embrace the light. They want the light, and not, which is why I don't. You end up, you work around in the uber rich circles, but I literally tried to spend a lot of time just loving on folks and being by myself because my
Yeah.
light frightens. I remember a sister telling me, "You need to come into a room and sit in the back because once you walk in, it changes everything."
Hmm.
And then God took her.
Mm, mm. I will say to you, I know that feeling. I know that, and what I've learned, what I've been taught. Let me say that. What I've been taught by other people with big lights is it's because your light shines brightness on the darkness of other people's lives.
That they
So,
don't want to be seen, and it doesn't mean that we
and
don't
not
make
not just
mistakes.
that. No, it's that you're so bright that it forces me to recognize how dark I am. So if I allow you to come in here as this bright bulb, as I pretended to be the brightest bulb in the room, right? If I pretend to be the brightest bulb, and you come in here with this natural glow and this brightness and this energy, you have just forced me to recognize how really dark I feel I am.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so it's for the people who are uncomfortable people in the room, the first thing they do is gravitate towards you like a moth to the
Yes.
flame. And then they
Yes.
get burned and then they're mad at you. They're angry at you. Oh my God, they're so angry. What did you
For what they
do?
don't know. They can't figure out why
They
they're
can't
so
figure out
mad
why
at
they're so
you.
angry. They want you to be horrible. They want you to be terrible. They want you to do things that you've never thought about. Right?
Yeah,
Because there's something about your life that, like a flame, when you go to get in and fly into the flame, you burn up.
yeah,
And the moth is burnt, singed. Ow. So I learned that people like that are really eagles, and then by
yeah.
that they have to soar higher. They can't, and the people, the pigeons and whatever else that are on his back, the crow that beats it, they just fly higher and higher until the crow falls
Hmm.
off. Uh,
Hmm.
but you have that energy, you have that light, and I'm so glad that it's being shared in a place that other people can see it and can move with it. Yeah.
My Lord on today. My Lord on today. Folk don't even know. It's just a lot. But our conversations, I love that our conversations are so organic.
Yeah.
I am grateful that God saw fit to pull us together. When Josh
Yes.
told me that you were her cousin, I was like, I think you are bald headed lie. You are that is, she said,
It's true. That's my sister cousin. Yeah. Yeah.
right? And the fact that from 2018 to now we're in a space where every Monday we're talking, right? It's such a beautiful thing because you're so well learned. I researched the hell out of things. We're different, but we're alike in many ways, right? And this is what people need to see. We when you walk into a room and someone's energy is like, yeah, say hello, be kind, and move the hell away. Take your cape, take your sausage, take your hats, and go in another direction. We call ourselves, oh well, they're the leader of such and such, and they lead this, and they're over in charge of this and in charge of that. We find ourselves forcing ourselves into these dark spaces so we can fit in, and then when the rubber meets the road, we're like, oh, 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 oh,
Yeah.
right?
That
So
wasn't
we
me.
literally have to listen to our energy, listen to what's happening around us, stop ignoring it to our own peril. I told my husband, I said, you tell nobody, no one in your family what I do. No one. And he was looking at me like, but you have a nope. This is not about the accomplishments, sir. This
This
is
is
about
it.
I want them to meet me where I am so that they can see me as Andrea, not as Andrea, someone who has gone to this college or extended.
Oh my
It,
God, can I tell you? I tell people that you just put words to how I've always felt. People say, what do you do? And I have always said, I don't.
There you go. There
I
you go. Because
don't.
they want to have a reason
They
for
want to have a
why you exist
reason.
and who you are, what you are. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
aha
Yes.
moment. Yes.
Notice I never
No,
talk about degrees. I never talk about
I
any of those
don't.
things.
I don't. I've always said I don't because I've always felt that way. That if you're going to
Yeah.
know me, it's because of I am,
Yeah.
not because of I do. And
Yes.
and whatever I
Yes.
do should be a
Yeah.
compliment to whoever I am.
Absolutely. So when I say to people, who are you? I'm a
Oh,
mother. I have this degree and I have that degree. And I graduated from over here. And I recognize, I see it all, even in my friends. It's
I
so
tell them,
important to them to talk about why they are important,
oh,
why they exist versus just
because
existing.
because they're not. And see, that's the thing. The thing is, we've been taught how to be important in ways that are not important. And so what happens is that you one day grow up to realize I'm not important because all I have is my
You're
degree.
a dot in a larger universe. The Earth is a dot. The Earth is like
The
the tip of this pencil, the tip of this pen in the
oh,
larger scheme of the universe. And we make ourselves that ego.
it's
We make ourselves so
self-aggrandized.
much bigger. Absolutely.
And
And if you, if,
yeah, because we
child,
walk
now we talk.
around, listen, here we go. And because I walk around as I don't, there's something in there that is so big and bright and powerful to other people. To other people, not for me. I tell people I'm a muggle. But to other people, they get excited that, oh, but this and now you have to that. No. And then
Yeah.
they want to force you into a place. I need you to
Yes.
go here and do
Yes.
this to
You need to
satisfy
be.
my need
Yes. Yeah.
to make you have reason for being you. Oh no, baby. I was born with the key to this room. I'm not going back over here to explain to you for you to feel better about why people. I mean, even my mother and I had to laugh about this recently, but my mother was a person who needed me to learn how to play in the dirt so that I could say I know how to play in the dirt. There
Yeah.
was no other reason. And I, as a
Yes.
child, had this brain that would say, but why would I play in the dirt?
The
What's the
dirt.
what's the reason? There's no reason to play in the dirt. She'd say, but you have to because other people,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
other people will not have a way to
Mm-hmm.
explain to themselves who I am. Oh no,
Mm-hmm.
no, 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 no. Let them play in the dirt.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
oh what oh oh. Yes, those
Did you
words.
feel
That was
that?
it. This whole
This
moment
feeling. This did you
today,
feel it?
and
So
for anyone out there like that,
I'd
yeah.
love for us to stop walking around telling everybody I have this degree and I have that degree
Woo.
and I was and then we buy the most beautiful home and it tells a lot about you, right? Just
Oh,
be. When you are just who you are,
oh
everything else
yeah.
opens up for you.
Walk around
Everything else
as
opens
I.
up for you.
That's it. Walk around as I don't. Be vulnerable and just do. Just exist. I exist.
Do you know I belong to no organizations?
I
Not a this, not a that, not a
love it. I love it. And people, when they see you coming down the hall, in the room, down the street, from a mile away, and there's a movement. There is it's the walk with kings don't lose the common touch. It's felt, it's present in your being. And I'm so glad that you said that this morning. I want anybody who's out there in the world feeling like this to
yeah.
know that it is, you just are, you
Yes, you
just
don't have to
exist.
accomplish. You don't
You
have
no
to
no
tell
no.
people
You
your
were
reason for being.
born.
Just be.
You're
Yes,
born
just be.
accomplished.
Just
You were
be.
created accomplished. You
Child.
walk with accomplishment in your pores.
Yeah,
Everybody who came before you, every ancestor. I walk with every ancestor into every room I
yeah.
walk into.
As we
I don't
should.
have to, I don't need an accomplishment. They did that already.
Yeah, yeah.
I have their
And you will
accomplishments.
naturally accomplish when you walk in your most authentic space, right? Your love on you will find your path.
Whew.
You will
See,
find your path. If your
they weren't
path
ready
is
for this.
children, if your path is
Yeah.
education, if your path is right. Marguerite said that is why Jesus came as a man, so he could be relatable. He didn't have to, but he did.
Yeah.
Right.
This
So
just,
whatever it is, I belong to this organization, I belong to that, and I walk in the room, and I remember someone saying to me the other day, captain of a police department, she says, "Who are you? People want to know that you have," and she said, "I noticed that you never say I graduated from here or I said, I just am. Just like you said, I said, I just am. When I walk into a room, I'm not walking around with all that other ish behind me. I just am."
I
And she
exist.
marveled and she said, and they love you for it. It's just like they hardly ever see people do that. I was born here. I live over here. I've been to Martha's Vineyard over there, and I'm with the rich and the famous. And it's a sense of insecurity that we feel that we have to walk into the room with all these things on our shoulder blades to say that we
Or,
belong.
or we say to the universe, which wants the best for us, I am unable to accept the best for me because I have not accomplished X, Y, and Z. And the universe said, I didn't ask you to accomplish X, Y, and Z. I told you to go. Go, do, be. And I've always, I mean, from the time that, I mean, it made people crazy in my world. Made family members and other people crazy that I was always just a go and do. I'm going and I'm going to do. I'm going to walk into so and so and be and do and with no explanation. Right.
Yep.
And I never thought to myself, now I there was enough privilege to think, I need to think this to myself, right? I never thought to myself, I have to go achieve something to be allowed to walk into a
Yeah,
space that I felt I
that
wanted to walk
part.
into.
That part.
No,
That part. I belong here because I've achieved this, 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 and then. No, you just damn well
no.
belong there. You
You
belong.
belong
Walk in
there.
as if you belong because you belong. You're
Because with all
breathing.
that
You're here.
paperwork, yeah, with all that paperwork, if you don't belong, you'll be leaving. And so,
And not only that, with all that paperwork and all the things that you've said that you've accomplished, something still is missing because you're not walking in, just naturally walking in who you are. And so we have ascribed to what America says we need to have in order. And we keep saying it. We keep
yeah,
saying it over and over. But America says we need to do this and we need to do that and we need to just be yourself.
it's so funny. I'm in England quite often. I'll be there again next month or this month. And I love old British aristocratic women. Okay, why?
Mhm,
Because they have no reverence. Their tongues are open. They say what they think. They have no
mhm,
thought.
mhm,
One woman said to me, "Well, I will never get this," and she talked about the difference between Americans and education and how they define themselves. She
mhm,
said, "In England, if you are someone important, it's because you have generations of whatever else, and you can name, that you came from
mhm.
whatever person from the 12th century. Fine. But in America, people walk around with education as a badge of honor. And they tell you how educated they are and how many jobs they've had and how rich they are. They tell you all this information that you meet them. They
Mhm.
want to tell you what
Without
street
even
they live in.
asking. Yes.
So I live here on this corner in this apartment. Wait a minute, I'm not coming to visit. No, they tell you everything. Okay. She said, but in Britain and in Europe, people laugh at this because they say, what you've told me by telling me how educated you are is how middle class you are. Because if you were really someone magnificent, you would need no education because you would have already had all that settled. The education bought you a ticket into the room, so the education's what brought you here, which meant you didn't have a ticket to begin with. Okay, got it. So, and I was floored by that and taken
And we have
back
to
by
also,
that.
and we also have to learn that different countries do different things, and not what we make an assumption as
Mm,
Americans when we walk into certain places that we are the head and not the tail, nowhere, no matter
yeah,
where we go, and we make the mistake of not learning about the culture of the places that we visit,
yeah,
and say some of the crudest things about those people,
yeah.
the crudest
It's
things.
oh my god, it's so funny. I and sorry, people. We're having a personal moment. We're having a personal moment. I can remember with this same conversation with this financial advisor who was always encouraging me to go to an Ivy League institution for a doctorate. We needed me to get a
Mhm.
doctorate on top of anything else, get a doctorate. And I say no all the time. But one of the things that was interesting to me was I said to him one time, if ever I should ever get a doctorate from anywhere, it will be as an honorary degree.
I said the same thing. I said the same thing. I said
Because
the same.
that will mean that the work that I did was
Speaks
worthy
for
of
me.
the doctor. Oh no, I am not going to purchase a doctorate. I'm not interested. I don't know. And this is so interesting. My goodness. And that feeling of if you are, if you actually are you, if you are your being, if you walk in your truth and your light and your whatever that might bother or whatever, you gotta be the ego because it's gonna bother somebody, they're gonna bring you, they're gonna come to take you down, baby. When you start telling them that you are, oh, they coming. But if you walk in that inertia, in that reality, in that truth, you don't have to self-aggrandize anything. You don't have to
At
be anything
all.
more than who you are.
Just
You just
be
are.
yourself. Yeah.
Joyously, happily.
Child, yesterday I got up and I said, now my husband was watching me because he knows me, right? I said, I'm going to paint our garden wall. The neighbors are watching. I laid down my little paper, got my pens, my pencils, all my little things. I've got my little scraper, all of that. And for 3.5 hours, I listened to Pastor Waller preach when the church service to the end of not he had a guest speaker yesterday, and I was so in my element because I was one with the roller. I was one with the universe. I could feel the energy around me, the bees, the birds. Was it hard active labor? Yes, it was. But we have to learn how to do things for ourselves that we expect other people to do sometimes, right? Could have easily said, somebody come paint the wall. I wanted to paint the wall. My husband stopped arguing with me. I washed my car for that very reason too. I just want to be, you know what I'm saying? To remind myself that I can feel the energy coursing through my body. I'm washing my car. I'm painting my wall. I'm doing all the things. I'm not, just regular. My neighbor across next door says, "You always look so nice."
You
She
do.
says, and she says, I didn't know your name. I've been watching you for 10 years and I don't know your name. I said, because I never offered it. and I tell my husband all the time, I said, there's something going, the energy I could feel.
Something's wrong.
And my body was, everything in my body is like, back up, walk away, don't,
Walk
and I
away.
tell my husband, don't offer any information about me at all.
Oh, hardest lesson I've ever had to learn in life was how to walk away. Because I
Not
come from
me,
a
baby
people
boy.
who,
I be
yeah,
looking and going,
the hardest lesson for me. And I do it now. Now I do it.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
walk away like a good Libra. I turn right away. I don't call. I don't write. I don't take dog kiss my foot. I buy nothing. I go. But it took me a long time because I come from a family of service where you have to serve. There's no such thing as walking. If someone asks you to do something, you are bound to do it. Oh,
Yes.
not anymore. No, no, no.
Yeah. Mm-mm,
No,
mm-mm,
slavery died a
mm-mm,
long time ago.
mm-mm,
Wow.
mm-mm.
Wow. We are sorry, y'all, that we done went a half hour over. And that's
I know,
okay
I know. And I
because
got to go work out. Because Audra's not trying to hear, oh, I was hanging with David talking about all kinds of things. Listen, this episode of Mornings with Mova is officially over. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. I'll see you when I see you. Bye, David, darling. I'll see you on Sunday. Bye-bye.
you see.